Welcome to Tech Beyond Gender podcast. I'm your host, Meena Satishkumar. Today on Tech Beyond Gender, we are joined by Ankita Dhakar, founder of Capture the Bug. Ankita moved from India to New Zealand, fell in love with the country, and built a cybersecurity career without a computer science degree. Well done, Ankita. I'm really keen to know more about that. Seeing gaps in traditional point in time pen testing, she launched Capture the Bug, a community powered platform delivering real time continuous security testing for modern digital teams. A resilient leader and advocate for women in tech, she lives the mantra success is best when it's shared. Ankita, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. I know you're such a busy woman.
Thanks for having me, Meena, and Kia everyone. Namaste. My name is Ankita. I'm one of the co-founders of Capture the Bug, and such a great introduction, Meena. I think you've I don't have to describe what I do now.
Well, I never really had a good opportunity to talk to you in person. So I'm so looking forward to this conversation. So let's start off by you giving an intro of who is Ankita today.
Awesome. Well, today as you described, I lead one of the growing startups that's called Capture the Bug. It's a cybersecurity startup that's based in Hamilton. So I'm one of the co-founders of that company. So from work point of view, I lead that company and I make sure that, we onboard some really cool Kiwi businesses. We help them with pen testing, making sure that they get more ROI through pen testing as we deliver the security testing for them and their teams. As you described when you were doing the intro, it's very, very, I mean, the traditional pen testing space is still a decade old field. So a lot of the times, businesses who are needing pen testing, and we're talking about bigger brands, they need pen testing pretty much on a regular basis, but they end up only doing it once a year. So we're making sure how can we make it more faster, simpler, cost efficient, and transparent for them. So yeah, that's what I do today. But apart from work, I love spending time in nature. I love my daily run and walks around the Waikato River. So yeah, that's who I am today, I guess.
Awesome. So now take us back to your childhood, about your home, values, where you grew up, and what were the curiosities in your childhood days that kept you busy?
Okay. Wow. I have to think about this one. So I am originally from India, but I am from a city called Jaipur, which is also called Pink City. It's known for its palaces and forts and cultural history. So I grew up in a very grounded and middle class home, and with values like hard work, honesty, and helping others is just how life worked in my house. My mom's side is, I don't know where the are from, but my mom is from Uttarakhand, which is um, a hilly area, and so there's always been this quiet resilience and calm strength in my family because my mom was the one leading us, and as a kid, I guess I was constantly I'm a very inquisitive person, and I think I think it has come from my family. I was I was given the opportunity to ask questions, even if they're not like, when you're a kid, you ask really dumb questions. But I think the way that my parents and the people that I've managed to get um, um, as a 10-year-old or 15-year-old or 7-year-old have always been very kind and supportive. So I played with a lot of things like remotes, and I didn't know, like I loved tried to look at what is inside a remote or a phone, and so I created a lot of mess when I was I was younger, because I guess I didn't know how to put them all together, but I loved, yeah. So destruction has always been my fun thing, I guess, when I was a child. So, but I think it was normal when I had a very normal, chill childhood, I guess.
Cool. So then what inspired you to move to New Zealand?
Um, I think so. I hold 3 degrees. So I did my bachelor's in commerce in India, and during my college days, I remember I went to my dad and asked, what's next, and my dad always said to me, I don't know, this is something that you need to find out, and so I think I didn't know that I want to go to New Zealand or any other country for that matter, but I always wanted to explore myself. And I thought if I would be here, then I would not get this, because it's, they would always give me that protective environment to fall. And then I wanted to be alone, explore myself, and see where I would go. So I chose New Zealand as a country because I saw that it's a diverse country. It's not I mean, from population point of view, it's not very crowded, and so I liked that. Um, I think I also liked that it was, you know, I could see that there is a way for, like, I saw a lot of opportunities being a small country, secluded from part of the world, but also saw this as an opportunity to kind of build myself, um, and then kind of, look at kind of use that as a launch pad and exploring myself, who I am, and stuff like that, because I also saw that as a way for me to go global, not as a business, but as a person. I think when you surround yourself with people who come from different walks of life, who've seen the world, you tend to grow and learn a lot quicker than you would with similar kind of experiences. So I think that was the only thing that I had in mind while I was choosing New Zealand as a place to go to. Nothing.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, it's been so I've been in New Zealand for over 10 years now. So I came here in 2015 to study. Yeah.
Wow, in 10 years, as a migrant student, you came here, did your studies, launched a startup, and that too a very successful global startup. That
Um,
sounds very interesting.
it is interesting, but I always call myself an accidental founder, because I had no plans on starting my own company. I did fell in love with the country and decided to be here and make it my home, but I had no plans to start I wanted to do something on my own, but never in my wildest dream would I have thought that I would do something in cybersecurity, because as you said, and I don't come from computer science background. I haven't studied cybersecurity formally. Um, and also as a migrant, you would understand that settling in is already very hard. You don't come with a lot of contacts, you don't have family here. And so, I think it was COVID. I think the only decision that I made in my life that I'm really happy with is to start my business. Because I've learned a lot. I've met with amazing people around the world, and I feel really happy that this is what we thought could make us lead us somewhere, and we're already making a difference in cyber. So that makes me really, really excited.
So tell me more, give me the details. So you came here as a student, you finished your studies, and then how cybersecurity? Why pen testing specifically? And
Okay.
how did you become an entrepreneur?
Well, so I used to work for a company in Auckland. They used to destroy um, people and government's confidential information. So we used to get a lot of, like health records, passports, and stuff like that. And so I used to work there. So I was based in Auckland before I moved to Hamilton, and I was one of their accounts coordinator. So, one day it was just a normal day, and I was thinking, what happens if this data or this passport or this health record gets into the wrong hands of people? And as I said, I'm a very, very inquisitive person. Even if there's a problem or there's a question in front of me, I have to make sure that I answer that in a way that my brain settles for it. Um, and so when that happened, I tried to understand. So that was the first time when I found out about cybersecurity. Before then, I had literally no experience in a field like that. I mean, because I was working for this company, I had some sort of exposure to digital security, but not IT and cybersecurity. So I think that was the curiosity that led me to then find out what's the data like. I used to read a lot of reports that came out of CERT in the early years and what's been happening in New Zealand or Australia. And then I found out that there are not a lot of businesses who are focusing on startups or SMEs for cyber. And so I thought, I wasn't even thinking about launching a startup, but it was just COVID happened. I wasn't really happy with what I was doing in my job. And I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. So I guess I took a very bold step to then launch the business, which was the consultancy. So my first business was, it still is trading, it's called Security Lit. And we launched that in February 2020. Not a good time to launch a startup, but that's how I ended up here. So the product, Capture the Bug, when we were delivering a pen test report to a client just 2 years ago, that business came back to me. I mean, the CTO came back to me and said, this pen test report is great, but how can we make it more collaborative? And again, like I asked them question, what do you mean by that? They were like, well, when you perform the pen testing, you guys go away. We don't know what's happening. Is there a way for us to keep in touch while you're doing that? How do we make sure that we're seeing all the results in real time? And so the questions lead me to discover what Capture the Bug is today. So 2 years ago, we launched a very ugly looking, scrappy product that we gave it to a few customers. We asked them a lot of questions. I personally interviewed 43 CTOs across Australia, New Zealand, and I found out there's a massive gap in pen testing. So, I gathered a lot of feedback, gave them, did some iterations, and then did a soft launch of the product. And I could see, I was confident that this would work. So we just worked really, really hard day and night, and we still do, to make sure that more businesses adopt Capture the Bug.
Wow, it's so inspiring. So, how, just want to understand, like, what were the challenges? As you mentioned, right, initially, being a migrant student, you really didn't have any network here. You had to start everything from scratch. Like, I moved from India as well as a student,
Oh,
and I
wow.
completely understand the challenges that you would have faced.
Yeah.
And for me, and I remember even getting my first job was a challenge
Yep.
because I came here to do my post-graduation, and then I was just considered to be overqualified or didn't have experience, one or the other, right? So it's like I had completely understand the challenges of being a migrant student and then building your career. And you have actually taken it up to another level. And I'm sure that I really wish there are more women who get inspired listening to your conversation about, wow, how did she build the network? Like, how you're starting everything from scratch. How did you, like, who are your co-founders? How did you meet them? Tell us more.
I think there's no easy answer to this. I think one thing that has helped me is that I just I'm not saying that don't listen to people, because I'm not suggesting that you do that, but I think when you're early on, and because I didn't come from cyber, and it was natural for a lot of people to say this is not going to work. This is a very crowded market. There are so many established players in the market. Why would people buy from you? And we still do hear those things. But I think when you believe in an idea, when you are passionate about something and you keep giving your best and you do that every day, I'm a big believer in consistency. So I think who I am today and what we're doing today has been last 5 years of hard work, right? But if somebody is listening to me, if they're interested in launching their own thing or startup or a job or whatever that is, you gotta believe in yourself, and there would be a lot of people around you who would bring you down, who would say things that may not encourage you, but you always have to think why you came to New Zealand, why do you want to do this, why do you want to build this, so just think of that, and I think surround yourself with good people. I think I found my co-founders through I think there are so many things, right? Like in my opinion, what worked for me is because I didn't have a network, because I didn't have any contacts, I started writing on LinkedIn. And as I said, consistency plays a very key role, at least in my growth. People saw that I wrote on a daily basis. Even today, I make sure that I share what I'm doing, what my business is doing, whatever that is, at least on a weekly basis. When I started, I was doing it on a daily basis. It can be hard. Some days are really, really, when you're building a business, there's so many things that can go wrong, and it did go wrong for us. But I made sure that I stick to the discipline that I set up for myself. So I don't know, like you have to, as I said, my dad always told me, you just have to work hard, and one day you will start seeing the results. There's no shortcut to that. Um, it's a bit harder for migrants. There's no doubt about that. Being a female, it's a bit more harder, especially in tech fields, because you don't see people like me who speak like me, who look like me in the space that you're building, and building a product that is can be exported to global geographies. Is just, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, others won't. So there's no shortcut to that. And I don't know what advice can I give anybody, but if you believe what you're doing is good, as it's going to make a difference, just go for it.
Wow, nice. So you started in New Zealand and you went global, or you launched it overseas
We
first?
we launched it in New Zealand. We're doing a few pilots with a few large banks in India. Our product is currently being used by a few stock exchange listed companies in New Zealand and US. We've got a few customers in Australia as well. And we're hoping that we could onboard more customers, outside of Australia, New Zealand. So I think it's just the beginning. We're only starting to see people are getting excited what we're doing. So hopefully.
Wow, exciting. So how many people do you have in your company working at the moment for you?
So in total, we're still very small. We've got a team of 15 people now.
Mm-hmm. Wow, nice. So now in cybersecurity, I know it's vast, isn't it? So
Yeah.
is there any reason why did you specifically choose like application security testing?
Yeah, I've had so before I joined this company, um, I've always, so there's a lot of risk assessment involved in pen testing, right? So I don't perform pen testing, but a part of that was, I think what I did really well was, because I don't come from the tech background, I think understanding you also need to identify your strengths and weaknesses. And I think what I was good at is understanding the layman's term, the business context and then put it in front of people and businesses in a way that it's not too technical and not too complex. And so I use that, how do I say that? I use that strength and liking, and then I started reading more about pen testing. There are certain standards that you could read, and I guess I just levitated more towards application security as anything else. It's a pretty vast space, but I just found software and application security more exciting to me, and um, I still review a lot of pen testing reports that we send out to our customers, even though a lot of the things that we do now has been automated by the product that we've built. But in the early days when I was consulting and providing risk advisory and services, I was doing and looking at those pen test reports. I didn't perform the pen testing, so I'm not a pen tester, but I'm really good at assessing the risk, articulating it in a way that businesses could understand. I can speak to developers, I can speak to business owners and talk to them in layman's term why this vulnerability shouldn't be there, or if this exists, what can happen. So I can do that. But I don't know if I have an answer to that, like why exactly I found pen testing more interesting. I wish I had the answer to that.
That's okay. So now, where does capture the buck create measurable return on investment versus traditional pen testing?
Wow, okay. So businesses today in New Zealand, they spend, I'm talking about SMEs, they spend anywhere around 20 to 30,000 New Zealand dollars for a one-off pen test. And so one single pen test would cost them a minimum of 20 to 30,000 New Zealand dollars. With the same cost, they can use the pen test as a service platform, not only to spend regular pen testing on a monthly basis, but with the same cost, they get throughout the year coverage. So for example, if you're an SME that's already spending 30,000 New Zealand dollars, maybe with 35,000 New Zealand dollars, you are able to get not just the comprehensive pen testing, but every month when you're releasing a new feature or you're integrating with new APIs, you're going to get, you can request a pen test for those new features as well. Because what happens in traditional consultancy is that even though you're making changes to your software on a regular basis, you're only performing pen testing once a year. And that's no good, right? That can only be good for compliance reasons, but for actual security or real security, that is, like, for example, if you made a change today and your pen test is 3 weeks or 3 months away from where we are today, and if an attacker, a bad actor with malicious intent is trying to look at your vulnerabilities, and if they found it, then you're gone, right? So the consequences can be worse. So with pen testing as service, you can, we, for some businesses who are bigger in sizes, I'm talking about businesses who have over 500 employees, they use us as an extension of their teams. So there's so many use cases, right? But the ROI is huge for them, not just for the direct pen testing cost, but also the cost of their developers spending less time, because everything is now on the platform. They don't have to spend time or resources understand each and every vulnerability. They can collaborate with the pen testers in real time. So yeah, there's so many things that they can do.
So what were the most persistent doubts that you had in your early days, be it funding or supply demand, anything when you
I think for a founder, it's always about how are we going to crack this deal, where the money is going to come from, who will be our next 5 to 10 customers. I mean, whatever that number is, right? So like for me, when we were, I think in year one, when we were already used by some really cool brands in New Zealand, like Partly, Parkable, Yabble, who's now acquired by London Stock Exchange, Whip Around, so many amazing New Zealand businesses. I used to think like, this is great, but as a founder, you always think about what's next. So I was thinking, oh, how can I sell my product to a stock exchange listed company? How can I make sure that the use case is not just the growing startups or SMEs, but maybe, larger enterprises. And when that happened, I was so happy. So I think it's always about your goals as a founder. Where do you want to go next? Why do you want to go next? For example, in some cases, for a founder, it may not make any sense to go after a bigger enterprise because the cost to convert that customer might be huge, whereas they can convert maybe 10 small customers in the same amount of time. So it depends. But I just wanted to validate the idea that the product can be used by variety of clients, right? So
Where do you draw your strength from when things are going hard?
oh, I don't know what hard means, man. I mean, uh, that's an interesting one. I think the one thing that I always think about, and my mom always says, is that um, things always works out in the end, and if it hasn't worked out yet, then it's not the end. I think this always keeps me going. Um, it might sound cliche, but actually, if you think about it, it actually, so if there's a hard time, right? So I always think about the positive sides. Maybe it's making me stronger. Maybe it's asking me to look at other things, or I don't know. I just try and distract myself because you can get very emotional when you're building something um, on your own and you're so consumed in the idea. But as I said, you always have to think about why you started, where do you want to go next, and also make sure that there's some sort of balance. You don't lose a lot of, as long as you're having fun and it's all positive, which unfortunately it's not, because it's hard to draw a line between personal and professional. But you just, as I said, you surround yourself with good people. You do things like this, right? Like having podcasts, and try and do things that are that motivates you, that encourages you, and also give you the opportunity to learn from some other people as well. Doesn't have to be tech, right? Anything that gives you motivation, keeps you happy, you should keep on doing that.
Nice. As a woman founder in security, right? Which barriers were most material?
Uh, I think I see a lot of change happening, but I do think that there is still, it's hard to find the role models. Like even today, it's hard to find. It was really hard for me to find someone who I can talk to and ask questions. I think the and then and I think that's why I always try and make myself very approachable, because when you don't know something, you don't know, and I think if you've got someone who can just even say, like, if you have any questions, come to me. um even that small thing like that can make a huge difference in your life. What I'm trying to say is, it's I'm not saying that it's hard for us and it's easier for others. It's definitely a bit hard for migrants and females. But in in tech fields, especially like cyber or health or other industries where the diversity or the inclusion is like, it's hard to see people like yourself in the industry. It takes longer for you to see success because you don't know what is right, what is wrong, and so you're experimenting a lot of the times. You don't know where to go for support. You don't know where to ask questions. A lot of the times, because you don't have the networks, you don't have the connections, you have to put yourself out there. And I'm an introvert. I'm not an extrovert, so I literally had to challenge myself to be out there, say things that sometimes may not be comfortable to you, but that makes you who you are. And I guess that's how you start resonating with people. That's how you find your community. I think having a community is really, really important. You need people who you can build something with, right? So I'm not saying that I was able to build this because of my willpower or my madness or whatever you call it, but it was actually because of the people who helped me, be it customers, be it people like yourself. You need people who can support you and say, well, you're doing a great job. If you need anything, I'm here. Ask me anything, just simple things like that. So it has been tough, and it's tough for everybody, but for migrants, unfortunately it's a bit unique. There's no, it's, I don't know, like I wish I had an answer to that, but I don't.
Mm. Have there been days when you thought, oh my God, I wish I just had a 9 to 5 job where someone would pay for me rather than be an entrepreneur?
No, I think I would do this in a heartbeat
Oh,
again.
nice.
Yes. And I'm not saying it's for everybody. I think I wasn't fulfilling my soul when I was working for someone else. I think the decisions that I take today and for my team and for our clients and the things that we do has taught me a lot, has shaped me who I am today. I was able to meet with some really, really amazing humans along this journey, and that would have never been possible if I was doing what I was doing before I started my business. So it was a huge leap of faith, and I was able to do that because I had some sort of savings left. I took a huge risk. I thought that, okay, if this doesn't work out, I can always go back to my job. I don't have kids, so there was no responsibility factor. But I guess I understand that I also come from a privileged space, right? So this is all, everything what I just described is a sort of privilege, and not everybody would be able to do what I was able to do today, even if they had an amazing idea. They might have a family, they might have other responsibilities, financial commitments, personal commitments, and so I was free from all of that. So um, it was easy for me to take the risk.
Mm. I was very intrigued by something you had in your LinkedIn saying success is best when it's shared. Now,
Oh,
how
yeah.
do you do that?
Even though we are a very small team, we're just 15 people, I think, um, how do we say that? We share, so they all feel that they're part of something big, and we're together, we're building this because we feel like when we come together, we're going to make a difference, we're going to contribute to the community, we're building a product that's going to be then used by, so when they are doing a lot of work in the background, and they might not get the spotlight, but absolutely what we're able to achieve, it wouldn't be possible without the team that I have today. So what I meant by that is whatever you do, whatever you build, always give back to the people who have supported you. And I always believe in karma. So try and give back as much as you can. So as part of me, when I was when I came to this country, I mean, the moment that I decided to build a startup, if it was hard for me because I couldn't find anyone else who was doing on a similar path, what I was trying to do. The moment we reached a stage where I was able to give back to the community, I made sure that I do that. So we do a lot of work in collaboration with the University of Waikato. I make sure whenever I have time, I either mentor students myself, or I get someone in my team to make sure whatever knowledge they have, the experience they have, they they can help that person. Because I think one of the challenges that at least when I spoke to a lot of students, they told me that they're not able to find a job in tech or cyber because they didn't have a local experience. So because I've built um, fairly um, good base in Hamilton, I was able to give them that experience. And it made me really, really proud that some of the people that we helped are now working for companies like Deloitte, PwC, in New Zealand and overseas. So and even though we may be able to do that for 12 weeks or 14 weeks time, and it was 3 years ago, those people are still in touch with me, and you will not believe some of them have actually landed us some jobs, right? They said now that because they are, senior managers in some jobs, and some places, if they get an opportunity to help us, whether it's, inviting us as speakers, um, recommending us as a vendor, they've done that. So I always believe in giving back to the people, even though you think they won't be any tangible ROI, because I think when you do that and it helps them, they're going to remember that, and they're going to do that for other people. So it's like a circle, right? You do your job, you pass it on, and then that person is going to do that for other person. Um, yeah.
Awesome. So I want you to share 3 secrets for career switchers and migrants. One is, what is your credibility tactic? Second is, what is your skills tactic? And the third is, what is your networking tactic?
Mm.
So start with the first one, credibility tactic. How do you build credibility?
I think you need to surround yourself with people who knows more than you, I guess. So for example, when I moved to Hamilton, I tried and meet with a lot of people based on the university. So one of the shareholders in Capture the Bug is the senior lecturer and head of cybersecurity lab at University of Waikato, Dr. Vimal Kumar. And I was able to do that through, multiple meetings. So you also have to invest a lot of time in people, right? Because you might be meeting n number of people on a weekly basis or a yearly basis, but you also have to make sure that you're not going to resonate with everyone that you meet, but you're going to um, remember I talked about community. You need to find the right people. So I think I've learned a lot from people. I managed to give my time to and learn from them, and you find out um, there's some sort of compatibility, right? So when it comes to credibility, try and look for the things that you lack. Okay, what are those things? If you're building a business, so for example, in my case, we didn't have a lot of people working for us. It was just me and my co-founder based here. How did we leverage that? So we looked for students. We looked for people who needed cybersecurity career experience advice. So we sat. I've spent a number of hours at the University of Waikato, surrounded by professors and leaders who used to give the talks, and later we also started sponsoring the New Zealand Cybersecurity Challenge. So when it comes to credibility, try and find people who will um, fits the missing piece. And if they like you, you like them, try and see who they can introduce you to. For example, today, if I know you, you like me as a person, I'm going to ask you, hey, Meena, do you know a CTO in your network? Can you um, do a warm intro for me? That's how you build your network. I think the first one and the third one, which is building your network, is kind of connected, because you need to find out the people who can help you in the long run, and also see how you can help that person in return, right? So yeah, I think that would be my advice.
Yeah, I think you've sort of touched the skills and networking there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Unless you have anything more to add.
I think skills you're gonna get, if you're hardworking, you're persistent, and you can be consistent. I think skills can be learned. Like if I can launch a cybersecurity startup without having a tech and no formal education in cyber, I guess anybody can do whatever they want to do. I I don't give a lot of thought to skills. Skills are important, but they can be learned. I think especially as an entrepreneur, what you need to learn is patience, resilience, and honesty. And then again, networking is key, because if you are someone like me who doesn't like to be like, I hate networking events, but that is also a big part of my job. So I have to make sure that I do that very, very well. But when you go to these events, you meet with people, like it becomes a part of your job, right? So um, just see, like, go to few events and maybe take your um what I do is, and I still do is, I try and see who's going to which event. And if I can see others that I know are going to that event, it makes it a little more easier for me to then go to those events rather than going to events that I don't know anyone, right? Because then I would be alone. And at least it's for me, because I'm not it's hard for me to connect with people. Um, as an introvert, it's hard to crack conversation. I'm really bad at short talks. So yeah, but that's just me. Some people are I've like there are people who can strike a conversation without knowing a lot about you. So unfortunately, I am not that kind of a person. And I love conversations that are meaningful, long. Um, and I'm good at one-on-ones, but it's hard for me to start a conversation in a room full of 20 people. Um, yeah, but you learn it.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. I'm the same, actually. I'm an
Anything
introvert
can be
too.
learned. Anything can be learned, I guess. If you want to do something, you will do it, and you will find 100 reasons to do it. But if you don't want to do something, you will find one reason to not do it, and you end up not doing it. So.
Yeah, that's very true. So, what aspects of technology excites you for future? What's next for Capture the Bug?
That's a good one. I think AI excites me a lot, and we're actually working on a research to automate some of the complex workflows. We're trying to make pen testing autonomous, and without speaking too much about it. So what we are doing right now with pen testing is we've got a bunch of people who are really good at what they do in finding out vulnerabilities, but we're trying to build agents who can mimic the human behavior, the methodologies that these people use to attack applications. So we're trying to build those kind of agents to make pen testing autonomous. So maybe, for example, if today you are taking, I don't know, like 10 hours to perform API pen testing, my question is, are we able to do that through agents in a less time? And if that is possible, then it would be more cost efficient. Many businesses would be able to do that. We haven't reached a stage where it's where I can say we have done that, but we're in the research phase. So if that happens, then I will let you know. But that makes me really excited.
Wow, very good. Congratulations, and I'm sure it'll go well. Now, looking back, I'm sure, right, you've grown as a person a lot, being a student and also being an entrepreneur now. Now, what advice would you give to your younger self who moved to New Zealand 10 years ago?
Mm. One thing that I've learned with time is patience, because when I didn't have the startup, um, I didn't consider myself as a patient person. So I think my advice would be patient. You're not behind, um, and you're building something for long term. So just keep going.
Great. Thank you so much, Ankita, for your time. That's very generous of you. I know you're such a busy woman. Making time for this is such a privilege and
Oh,
honor
not
for
at
us.
all. Thank you so much for giving back to the community, and love what you're doing, Meena. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate that.